Hello everyone, my name is Eimear Manning and I am an environmental educator. I'm here today to show you how to make 5 different DIY and eco-friendly Valentine's Day spa recipes. So the items that we're going to make today are a herbal tea facial mask, which you can then also add 1 or 2 more ingredients to make a body scrub. We're going to turn an old t-shirt into some facial cleansing wipes. We're also going to make a beard oil, or if you want to add beeswax, a beard balm for the men. And finally, I'm going to show you how to turn some boring candles into some beautiful romantic Valentine's Day candles. So let's get started. Let's get started with our facial mask, which can then turn body scrub. The ingredients that you'll need for this are you're going to need 2 tea bags worth of herbal tea, 1.5 teaspoons of honey, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and mix. This will leave you with quite a thick face mask. You can water it down slightly if you want to by adding maybe half a teaspoon each time to get the right consistency that you want. I actually prefer the thicker face masks. I just think that they stick better to the face, and without the water it allows the coconut oil and the honey and the olive oil, whatever you've chosen, to really get into the skin and really help it soften up. If you would prefer to make this into a body scrub instead of a face mask, you can double, triple, quadruple the recipe, whatever you want for the area of the body that you would like to use the scrub on. And if you would like to make it more of a deep scrub, you can add coffee grinds, or if you want a really deep scrub, you can simply just add a half a teaspoon at a time of brown sugar until you get to your desired scrub result. Next, I'm going to show you how to make some reusable and completely eco-friendly makeup remover pads or cleansing wipes for your face. You can do these in a square or in a circle or in a triangle, whatever you like, but I'm going to make circle ones today. The circle ones are easier because usually you can just use a glass to get that nice circle shape. But it's up to you. If you have something lying around the house that's a perfect square shape, you can pop that down and cut out squares instead. So I have an old t-shirt here that we don't need anymore, and I'm going to be making our facial cleansing wipes or makeup cleansing wipes out of this. So all I have is a glass, and I'm just going to use the top of the glass to make that circular shape. So find anywhere on the t-shirt that you want. If you have a pattern on the t-shirt and you want to get the pattern in the design, you can do that. And I just have a pencil, and I'm just going to draw a circle shape around my t-shirt. You're going to do this twice, so that's the first circle. And here's the second circle. This is why it's easier to use a template, so that you can make sure that you have even circles or even shapes with whatever shape you decide. You can also use a drinks coaster for a nice square shape if you would prefer them to be square. And then simply cut out your shapes. Just remember to always take care when using scissors. Once you have your 2 circles cut out, and they don't need to be perfect, you can get your thread. I'm using black thread, but you can use any color that you like. It can be quite nice with multicolored thread as well if you want to spend some extra time going back over a couple of times. But this part is really, really simple. All you have to do is take 1 cotton piece and place it over the other. Try to get it in such a way that you feel like the 2 cotton pieces align. So if you need to keep twisting and rotating until you find the way they sit best together, then do that. I think that looks pretty good. So you're going to take your 2 cotton pieces, and quite close to the edge of the 2 cotton pieces, you're going to stick your needle through And all you're going to do over and over again the whole way around, and you can pull as much thread as you like, but to be honest, sometimes it's easier to start with a smaller amount of thread and then when you get to the end, go again. But you're just going to keep going around in circles, sticking through both of the pieces of cotton each time that you go, and making these lovely little lines all throughout. So you can see as I go around, there'll be lots and lots of these little lines the whole way of the circumference around the facial pad. And I'm going to show you an example that I made earlier so that you can see what it looks like at the end. So this is an example of one that I made a long time ago. So you can see it's starting to get a bit frazzled, but it's still perfectly usable. But this was out of an old skinny tea towel, and I obviously made this one using a sewing machine, so you can also do the edges with a sewing machine instead of by hand. But by hand I think is actually quite nice because you can watch TV while you're doing it, so it can be quite relaxing. But all you have to do is sew all of the corners together so that it looks like a little cotton cleansing pad. You can then use whatever material that you want on this. You can use micellar cleansing water, makeup remover, whatever you need, and you can just take whatever you want off your face, pop this in the washing machine. The wonderful thing is that it washes the exact same that a tea towel, in this case, or a t-shirt would normally wash, and it's made out of something old that you wouldn't use again, so it is incredibly eco-friendly. So this is my finished product. So you can make yours with thinner lines or thicker lines or different colored threads the whole way through the edges, whatever you want. I'm going to put a little bit of this on just so you can see how effective our other product is of our makeup remover pad. So after leaving this on for about 5 minutes, we're going to remove it with our lovely homemade makeup remover wipe. And all you have to do is dampen this cloth. You can put a little bit of gentle soap on this if you want as well, if you don't like that oily feeling on your skin or if you have sensitive or acne prone skin. And all you're going to do is wet it and all gone. This next recipe is one for the men, because why should they be left out of Valentine's Day? This recipe is really easy. You're only going to need coconut oil, about 1 tablespoon, beeswax, about 1 teaspoon, and a few drops of whatever essential oils you like. I recommend using a mix of rosemary and pine. First, you're going to add 1 tablespoon of coconut oil. Coconut oil can seem hardened when it's in the container, but as soon as you start to touch it with warm body heat, it starts to melt. Before I add the beeswax, I should mention you only need the beeswax if you're going to make a beard balm. If you want to just have beard oil, then all you need is coconut oil and some of whatever scent you are looking for. I recommend about 3 drops. If you're looking for beard oil, then you're pretty much done once you've mixed the scent that you've chosen into the coconut oil. You can see that the coconut oil doesn't break down as you're mixing it, but once you put it on your fingers and start to rub it into the skin, it immediately melts down into a perfect beard oil. Just a little warning, if you want to make your beard oil into a beard balm, it does involve you using boiling water, so just be careful. If you would like to make your beard oil into a beard balm, then we need a little bit of beeswax. I got this in Nourish, which is still open as it is an essential service during COVID, so you can get it in most health food shops. Simply cut the piece of beeswax that you want. A serrated knife tends to work better, as sometimes beeswax can be very tough to cut through. So to make your beard oil into a beard balm, you'll want to add your beard oil, like your coconut oil and your scent mixture, into a heat-proof glass along with your beeswax. So to turn your beard oil into a beard balm, you want to get a pot of water that is simmering but not boiling. And then what you want to do is take your heat-proof glass container that has your beeswax and your beard oil inside, and you want to float that in the pot. Try to make sure that the bottom of this glass container isn't sitting directly on the bottom of the pot. That could damage the glass. So you want to make sure there's enough water in it that it just stays floating off the bottom. This might take a few extra adds of water, that's fine, feel free to boil the kettle, but make sure that no water goes in here. The water only goes in the pot. If, like me, you have a jug that's heavier on one side than the other and it tends to tilt, you can use a knife and put it through the handle of the pot to make it stay on the even level. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. Do take care that you don't burn yourself with any steam. So you take the knife and you put it through the handle of the pot, pull up and rest the knife flat across the pot like this. So as you can see, the knife going through the handle and resting on either side of my metal pot here allows the glass container to stay afloat and to stay even in terms of heat on the bottom of the glass container. You can see already that the beeswax and the oil mixture that we have put together for our beard oil are already starting to melt into what looks like water. That's a good sign. The beeswax will take longer to melt than the rest, so you will have to constantly stir it to make sure that it is breaking down. Once your beeswax and your beard oil are fully melted, now it's time to be very careful. Take this out and pour it into a heat-proof container. You should also leave down a tea towel next to you so that when you take out your glass container, you can put it straight down onto the tea towel to cool and dry. You can then take your pot off the heat and turn off the ring. You'll want to move a little bit quickly at this point because the beeswax can tend, depending on the brand that you get, to cool quite quickly. So you'll want to keep making sure that you have heat protective gloves, or that you're using a tea towel to protect yourself, because the glass container does get quite hot. Do make sure you have something under the glass container to protect your countertops as well. So you can use a heat-proof glass, or here I have this metal container that I used to buy items from Lush in that I've just emptied. And you're going to take your mixture of oil and beeswax, and you're very carefully going to pour it inside the container. That smells really good. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this container. Once again, please do make sure that you use something to protect your hands from the heat while you're moving the little container. And we're going to set it aside, and you're going to wait until your mixture is completely dry before we touch it. So it's only about 5 minutes later, maybe 10 minutes, and our beard balm has hardened and is done. So I'm going to show you the inside of the container now. You can see that it's a very, very smooth looking balm. And I'm going to take some out on my finger here so you can see. And it has a nice smooth texture to it. It smells delicious. It still smells like whatever essential oil you put into it. So for me, I put in lemon balm today, but I usually do rosemary and pine oil. But I tried something new today. But it's very, very nice, and it's nowhere near as liquidy as the beard oil. So if the man in your life, or if you prefer to have beard balms to beard oils, a little bit of beeswax is all you need. And now for our final recipe of this video, I'm going to show you how to turn some boring plain nightlight candles that you might have lying around the house into romantic Valentine's Day candles instead. Most nightlight candles are able to just be wiggled around a little bit to break up the glue on the bottom of the wick at the end of the candle. And if you can get that glue loosened, you'll be able to pop the candle out of its little tin container. You can also use a knife to help. You can even cut the candle if you want to. It doesn't really matter because all we want is the wick to be intact and the container to be intact. So I have sliced this candle down the middle, and all you have to do is pop a knife in and just pry out some of the wax. And you're going to get as much wax out of this little container as you can. So I've gotten as much of the wax out of this container as I can. You can see that the wick is still in place. It's glued, and the glue on this one is particularly tough, so I can't get it off. But that's fine, that's actually a good thing. If you're able to keep the wick intact, do. But what we're going to do now is we're going to re-melt the wax of this candle, and we're going to add some of our own special ingredients to make this candle extra romantic. So once again, just like making our beard balm, we're going to add this wax into a heat-proof container. And then we're going to, in the same way, melt this wax over some boiling water. So once again, please take care and be careful around boiling water. Make sure that you have protection for your hands whenever you're going to need to touch something hot. So I have my nightlight wax heating up in the same way that we did the beard balm, so feel free to go back and watch that if you need to see how to set up this apparatus again. But just one point to note, you cannot colour candles with food colouring unless you have oil-based food colouring. So it does need either a powder or an oil-based colouring. If you have one of those, feel free to get it. I'm actually going to use the powder version today, and the cheapest powder version that I have is actually old eyeshadow that I don't use anymore. Now, don't go stealing your partner's eyeshadow. You can ask them first, or you can see if you have any other coloured powders at all around the house. But I'm using this shimmery pink Valentine's-esque eyeshadow today. So we're going to add that to the wax once the wax has melted down, and we're going to mix it in. Just bear in mind, if you do use powder, it'll be lighter than you think. It will be kind of a pastel colour. And then if you use oil-based dyes, then it will turn out to be more of a bright, intense colour. The thing that I like the most about using the eyeshadows is that, especially if you have a sparkly or glittery eyeshadow, you'll also have a sparkly or glittery candle. So I've just added in my eyeshadow. Out of this little container, I've only added about this much, so only about a quarter or a third of the entire pack of eyeshadow. And this is the result that I've got. So you can see that it is quite an intense reddish pink, and there are still some lumps in it that I'm going to try and dissolve into this wax before we actually put it in the candle. But even as I'm stirring that up, I can see this beautiful glittery shimmer, so it's looking really, really well. So once your wax is melted and you have your desired colour of your wax, whether you're using the oil-based colourings or whether you're using eyeshadow or another powder, you'll then want to take your old nightlight holder, the little metal holder that you had it in. Make sure the wick is nice and stuck in the middle for when you're pouring, and we're pretty much ready to go. So we're going to take this off the heat now. Please make sure that you do wear safety equipment on your hands to make sure that you don't get a burn. So all of our equipment is now taken down, and it's still very hot, so please do still make sure that you're using the proper equipment to make sure that you're not burning yourself. We're going to pour this lovely reddish pink mixture now into the candle holder, and once again, please make sure that you are keeping your hands safe. You're going to try and not touch the wick when you do this, so you're going to pour into the edge of the candle if possible. Our candle is not very flat. There we go, now it's flat. And there we go. So you can see how lovely and pinkish red that candle looks for the moment. As it does cool down, it will turn more of a pastel pinkish red. And so we're just going to let that cool for a while, and I will show you what that looks like in a moment. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Let's go through our final products one last time. We have our fabulously soft and beautifully smelling herbal tea face mask, or body scrub if you added brown sugar or coffee grinds. We have the beautiful scented beard oil or beard balm, depending on which one you made. our lovely homemade makeup remover wipe. And finally, we turned our very boring and unscented plain white nightlight candles into this beautiful pastel rosé pink candle that smells like rose to me. I hope you had an amazing time here with me today. Don't forget, if you can get your hand on some nice flower petals, why not put on a nice bath and sprinkle them in there and light up your bathroom with some of your new scented candles and use some of your new products. If you make any of these products, please send me pictures and let me know how you got on. I will put all of our socials up on the screen here for you. Until next time, stay safe, stay well, and have a happy and eco-friendly Valentine's Day. Bye! Phibsborough Village Tidy Towns would like to thank the Community Foundation for Ireland. Without their funding support, this video couldn't have happened.